When it comes to real-life football, there has been a cloud of uncertainty regarding whether the sport will be played this fall due to the COVID-19 pandemic. While things seem to be trending in the right direction, and fingers crossed, we do get NFL football in some form or another this year, there was never any doubt whether EA Sports would release a new Madden game or not. There are a couple of things that you can count on from the Madden franchise. The first is that year over year, the game isn't going to change all that much. The second is that you're going to have most years a polished, licensed product that delivers on the true-to-sport gameplay that has come to be expected by fans of the franchise. Each year, Electronic Arts asks fans and players to accept that this is their only way to play virtual NFL football due to a licensing agreement with the league, and that the small changes made to the game and the roster adjustments are worth the price of admission. Let's face it. Most years, it's only a handful of features seen as the selling points for the game. This year, EA is selling a newly integrated defensive system that focuses on pass rushers and giving them a new system to use. While on the gameplay front that doesn't sound like much, there are some other additions as well. One of those new additions is the Yard. It's a brand new game mode to play, and it's miles away from the straight-laced NFL football that the franchise is known for. It's the series' take on backyard football, but those expecting a full-on revival of the NFL Street Series via the Yard may leave being a little bit disappointed, as this is something entirely different. It's far from a bad thing, though, as the Yard is one of the freshest additions to the series that we've seen in a while. For a franchise that rarely takes risks, the Yard is precisely what you're looking for the developers to do in shaking up the formula. The Yard makes Madden as a whole more accessible by more different types of people, and it gives longtime fans something else to sink some time into. Most of the game modes introduced to Madden over the years have felt like extensions of the core gameplay, and they really haven't tried anything new, but this is where the Yard steps in and shakes everything up, as it's a 6v6 Iron Man football style mode. The Yard does feel like it was built around you getting together with some friends out in the backyard and playing some football. And this includes crazy formations and countless untraditional ways to get the ball down the field. This is exemplified with the locations that you can pick as well, with places like a Lambeau tailgate, a Miami port, or a military operating base. The Yard takes the basic gameplay that you would come to expect from the series, the physics, the visuals and all, and it mixes things up by adding in some razzle-dazzle and some interesting rules that won't be found anywhere else in this game. At the start of the Yard, you pick a position in the order you were chosen. When picking a position, you have to account for offense and defense. So if you pick a quarterback, you'll also be playing their corresponding defensive position, which is a safety. It definitely adds a layer of strategy when picking players and prototypes at the start of a match, and brings about countless ways to exploit the defense or offense. With the Madden series having become such a complicated and true-to-sport experience, it's also become fairly inaccessible to a lot of players due to its complexity. There is definitely a large skill gap for new Madden players to overcome. The Yard is an approachable brand of Madden football, and it's just what the doctor ordered in terms of bringing new players to the game who might just want to have a little fun. The Yard is definitely one of the biggest additions in Madden 21, but much of what else is here is familiar. Face of the franchise returns, and it's somewhat of a letdown. While it has been expanded with its College to the Pros My Career Player mode, this year's version has you as a newcomer to your high school football team, where you are immediately put in a rivalry between your created character and the one played by actor Ty Sheridan of Ready Player One and X-Men fame. His character, Tommy Matthews, is the current starting quarterback, but you very quickly learn he has a congenital heart condition that he is keeping secret from the coaching staff. This, of course, leads to some unnecessary drama that really does feel forced. This isn't helped by awful facial animations that really make this mode feel cobbled together in a way that doesn't have the polish as some areas do. The story mode implemented in the series through Longshot and even last year's Face of the franchise up until you reach the NFL actually worked pretty well, but this year's version just feels undercooked throughout most of it. Another familiar area, and also the bread and butter for EA, is Madden Ultimate Team. and it's still as much of a grind fest as it has ever been. Though this year, the card-based team building mode returns the Team Captain feature, which allows you to pick an anchor player to build your squad around. A mixture of single-player missions and challenges and online play make Ultimate Team a mode that offers plenty to sink your teeth into, if only because it's going to require that you put tens and tens of hours into building a decently ranked team. Everything in Ultimate Team feels like it's purposely implemented to make you at least think about all the time you're wasting in creating a team when you could just as easily pay for premium packs of cards that are guaranteed to give you better players. All that said, MUT can still be a pretty fun way to play Madden. The challenges are decent and will give you a nice onboarding to get you started with enough players to set the hook. Once it's in, you'll be scrounging for ways to pick up extra coins, whether playing challenges or games against other opponents, trading on the auction house, or just succumbing to the lure of spending a little extra cash to circumvent the time sink. There's also a little bit more bad news that you're going to have to swallow with Madden 21 if you're the type of player that likes to hide away from all the bad microtransaction-based content of Ultimate Team and prefer to seek the refuge of a single-player mode like Franchise. You're basically getting the same mode as last year, despite EA claiming that they've heard the complaints of fans. You'll find very little different in Madden 21 Franchise and last year's game. Almost everything side by side looks exactly the same. It's begrudgingly accepted that they don't change things year to year, but it's really unfortunate that they don't even listen to fans and fix the smaller requests, like balancing the trade AI. It's just entirely clear that little, if any, love is put into the franchise mode each year and just plopped back into the next game, despite the fact that there are plenty of people who purchase Madden just for the franchise mode. Approaching the end of a console generation is usually when annual sports series are at their strongest due to the collection of game modes and features introduced in the years prior. Madden 21 has some elements of this with some of the best gameplay we've ever seen from the series and the addition of the new Yard mode, as well as Madden Ultimate Team still going strong. Where the problems start to pop up are with the disappointing face of the franchise mode, and there are some bugs that you will encounter that leave things a little unpolished. Madden 21 as a whole may feel like a bit of a letdown compared to the past few years in some areas, but the Yard definitely helps make it worth it for players that are interested in trying something different. With the free upgrade to the next generation version and the promise of treating Franchise like a live service as the season goes on, Madden 21 is likely still going to be well worth the purchase in the long run, even if you may be left a little dissatisfied at this point.